So, play review. 10 out of 10. A+, incredible. So I've watched a lot of plays and musicals in my 25 years of life. Wow, I know. I'm so educated. Seen so much. But I've seen a lot of Broadway, off-Broadway, West End, and community college and high school plays. Like, I've seen a lot of plays and musicals since I was a kid to now. And The Horse and His Boy was the best play. I'm not exaggerating. I'm really not. It was the best play I've ever seen in my life. Like,
yeah, it was really good.
I was not expecting what I was expecting. I was expecting to be, unfortunately for plays, I get bored a lot. There's very few plays where I'm in it the whole time. So I was expecting to come into this and being bored in some parts and just can be like, okay, can we hurry up now? Like, you know, and that's terrible because I love theater, but I've never had a good experience with plays. I was never once bored. It felt like a cinematic experience. The writing, so it's based on The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. And I haven't read that book in a while, so I didn't remember much about the story and the characters, but they fit, from what I remember, it seemed like they were very true to the original book.
They were, and I actually, I haven't read it in a while either, but I actually went and looked it up, the synopsis up on Wikipedia, just before the show, just so my brain, it kind of jogged my brain a little bit about the story. But yeah, they really did follow the story right with it, and I also felt like the characters looked exactly like how I thought they would look like the twin boys.
Oh, really?
Corin.
Yeah.
That they had blonde hair like that. I just pictured them just like that, and I was like, it was very satisfying to me to see that. I was like, okay, cool. Like everyone looked like what I thought they would look like in that story, and it was really well done. And like we said before, how she's very into cinematic, trying to make the audience feel like it's a movie they're looking at.
I remember C.S. Lewis, sometimes his books, if I remember correctly, they kind of go all over the place. They'll like go forward in the story and then backtrack. And they go forward in the story and backtrack. She did a great job in not ever feeling like you're backtracking. It feels like you're still continuing on with the story, you're still moving forward to the next scene.
They would reference something like, yes, when I was in the market and I bought, they were stealing items from the market from different places, and they stole a rope, they stole like cloth and whatever. But every scene where they were like showing something, they had to show a visual of it and create a set for that or whatever.
Basically, she would just take the main characters to the side and then go into that flashback.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it feels like you're progressing because you're learning about a new character or a new side of the story that you need to know about to move forward. And it's entertaining while they're doing that. So the story was always moving forward. I felt like there was an act 1, you know, and an act 2 and the climax, and it was a perfect story arc. There never felt like a scene that didn't need to be there. I felt like there was a reason for each scene to be there. How everything was weaved together and it just felt complete. Like I felt moved. Like I don't usually cry with stories, but this one I cried at the end, especially, you know, you go through all these ups and downs, and then finally the main character is like distraught and discouraged and just tired. And then all of a sudden you see Aslan walk onto the stage. And this is the first time you see him, and he's this big, big lion. And the music and the fog and just the lighting and amazing. All of that.
Give me chills.
I'm getting chills. Like, I just was moved to tears. You see this main character go through this journey, and then he's at his lowest, darkest point, and then the lion comes in. And the voice acting was really good. The voice acting was Nicole's dad. Before he passed, he did his lines.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't?
No, yeah.
Yeah, so the dad, Nicole's dad, I forgot what his name is. I apologize. I'll put it on a text or something. He voices Aslan. And he voiced it before he passed. So now his voice will always live on in their productions as Aslan. whenever they do Chronicles of Narnia. Definitely moved to tears. And then it's funny because then right after that scene, then we have a comedy scene, like the next one. So it helped with the tension. It like kind of broke the tension a bit in a good way, because then the boy is able to get to this little forest, and then we have all these little cute little animals, these bunnies and this hedgehog, and these little people, and they're making little jokes, and then you start laughing and you're crying laughing, and you're just going through all the emotions.
Yeah, I had tears too. I was like, stop. And I tried to hold it in, but it got to the point where it was impossible. It's like I got goosebumps and tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
I remember Nicole talked about the Ultimate Director lecture. She talked about how people are so heavily stimulated nowadays that even the strangest scene makes people cry. It's just people are just kind of messed up in the head nowadays that we're just not. I don't even know how to explain it, but she talked about how just people just don't know how to properly feel.
Yeah, when
anymore.
Is the proper time to cry?
Yes, and how to properly think. People just start laughing, crying, whatever at the smallest thing. She talked about how even pop music. She talked about how even music nowadays is killing kids' brains because it just goes around in a circle. There's no linear line. There's no linear plot. And
right,
so,
like concert music or film scores, it's more linear. It's more through composed versus like for example,
pop music. You have verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus. So it's just this circle, that's ruining kids' heads.
Yes.
They can't think outside the box. They can't think outside the circle anymore. And it's the same thing with storytelling. People just go to any show and they'll start crying within the first 5 minutes. And that's not how it should be done, So to have, and it's so true, I completely agree with that. And so for the story, I could tell it properly moved me to the right moments to cry, to the right moments to laugh, to the right moments just to be inspired and encouraged, to the right moments to be annoyed, to be angry, to be whatever. And just how the story moves you like that. A lot of those people were kids.
Yeah, a lot of them were high school kids, and even like the boys that played Cor and Corin were like younger boys.
Yeah.
And yeah, they
were good.
Good.
Even Science Sound Theater. Well, every time I go see Science Sound Theater musicals, the kids are usually terrible. They're not good, and their singing's not good, and how they deliver their lines is not good. It's just very cringy, unfortunately. Even Broadway musicals you go to and Broadway plays, sometimes the kids are just not good. But in this, like every single kid actor was a professional. Like they felt like a professional.
I've seen sometimes in movies too, or like in plays where they'll talk about something in the past. They don't show anything on the stage or on screen or anything. The actors talking about it, but there's no visual of it. Every single time they would talk about something, there was a visual that popped up on stage. And that was just so detailed. That was just so amazing. Like, it was almost the point where I was like, wow, you didn't really need to show that. It was only like 2 seconds. And it was like they were doing something and they were showing that for like 2 seconds, and then boom, they'd fade out the light on that, and then we'd go on to another flashback or something else. It's like, it's just amazing. There's just, again, so much detail.
There was so much detail, and the symbolism, too, and the themes, like, everything was very visual. Everything always felt like it was moving. Like, even the sets, she talked about a lot about how she moves her sets like choreography. She treats everything like it's dancing. And so even the sets, when you're changing scenes or changing props and the lighting when it fades or when it fades out or when it cuts or whatever, everything is like a dance. And so there's never a dull moment, ever, because it's always moving. You don't feel like you're standing still unless there needs to be a reason to stand still. And they used also fogs and echoing effects and sound and all that. So it helps enhance everything.
Noah Stratton, I was talking to him about the Horses Boy musical, and I asked him was this original music that they put in it, or what, or was it stock music, like royalty-free music? And he said there was the royalty-free music, and they listened to over like hundreds, I forgot how many it was, but it was over, at least in the hundreds of different music for every single cue, for every single scene in the whole play, because they were just so picky about the music. They had to make it just right and everything, and I was really impressed. It actually felt like original music. The only thing that gave it away that it wasn't original music was there was no continuity of a melody or motivic theme throughout the whole play. With certain characters, like a certain character something would happen to that character, or they would come back on the stage or whatever. I never heard like a little bit of a, you know, connecting tissue of some melody or something kind of in there. And that would be something that original music would have versus, you know, royalty music. You can't do that. But I did hear that they had they used some of the same music tracks throughout the whole story, which did help to bridge that continuity a little bit, even though they didn't have as much continuity to work with. But I noticed that the music at the very beginning of the play, they had this gorgeous like woman's voice singing this like beautiful melodic, it was a very like very ethereal music, and then they had it come in at the end again, and I felt like that was a good way to like open, and then they closed it the same way. So I thought that was really kind of bookended the whole production.
Yeah, and they also did the narrative too. They had a narrative in the beginning with the music, and they had it again at the end of the music.
Yeah.
So it felt like a little book, like you just read a fairy tale.
Like you just like, here
you know,
it is.
Beginning and end.
Yes.
We didn't talk about the puppets at all when we talked about the puppets is the main special event for this play, and we didn't talk about. I'm so sorry. We'll talk about it now. So I went to the master class for the Horse and His Boy puppeteering, or however the actual name is called. Nicole was in that lecture, and so was the puppet master Justin Swain. Justin Swain, I hope I got that right. But they both talked about their puppets for the Horse's Boy, and let me tell you, these puppets are incredible, and they're so freaking big.
They're amazing.
like standing next to the horses, the horse head is like right here, like it feels like a real horse. And they had a cat, and the cat was so realistic with how it moved and everything. And they had a crow as well at one point, and then 2 lions, one Aslan, one a normal lion. Like, you know, in Sight and Sound Theater, they have live animals, which is fantastic. But I think there's something really cool about it being a puppet.
Yeah,
like there's some artistry with that.
Creativity there.
Yes, and there's so much it takes to make a puppet and to bring it to life. And everything. It reminded me of like The Lion King, the musical, and those kinds of things. But they talked about how like each animal, except for the crow, I believe, takes multiple people to create one puppet, create one like live character. So like, for example, Brie, the horse, it takes 3 people to make that come to life. The head, the front legs, and the back legs. You talked about how you have to become a team. You have to work together and take criticism and be humble and to create this being. And also you have to be, especially just be willing to know that no one's ever going to see your face.
Yeah.
You know, cause you're hidden like inside this puppet's body basically. Yeah. So no one's ever going to know if you were the puppet of Brie.
Yes.
You know, if you were the back legs of Brie. You know, no one's ever going to know that. So you have to be willing to say like, you know what? I don't need the applause. I don't need the spotlight. I'm a part of this story, and I'm just grateful to be on this stage with everybody else. Like, you know, to have that kind of humility. These puppets are gorgeous.
Yes,
the painting
beautiful.
And how they're molded and stuff. Like, in a lot of detail. So, for example, the cat and Aslan, they, on their paws, I think their paws are like crooked or something.
Yeah.
And they both have it. And it's because they're basically the same. The cat and Aslan are connected.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember
that.
So
there's details on their paws that bring a connection to those 2 characters. Wow. And it's like, you would never have known, because you have to kind of look closer. You have to be closer to the stage to even see that. We were further back from the stage, but those little details, you know, they really think through things. And so that was really incredible. And, you know, it takes hours and hours to make those things. I never personally have ever thought about wanting to be a puppet master or help with puppets and that kind of thing, but like it would be really cool to learn how to move your body in such a way and how to make those things and to become a team with other people to create those to bring those animals to life.
Right.
And also they talked about how it depends like you have to be a certain height and have a certain amount of strength to be able to do these puppets. Mm-hmm. You can't be too tall or too short. You have to be just right.
Yes.
You know, you can't have this little of strength. You know, you have to have this amount of strength to carry this, the head of a horse, you know. So there's just so many requirements for it. So again,
I was talking to an actor with this production, and he told me that that basically the actors that are riding on top of the horses, they're basically the guys underneath are actually holding them up.
Oh gosh.
That all of their weight is on their legs.
Golly.
So when they're running around on stage, like doing that running, they're actually the whole time they're holding their weight the entire time.
That's insane.
It is a lot of leg strength, they said. So yeah. I'm like, I can't imagine.
They gotta be muscle man.
Yeah,
like, they gotta be like so fit. So yeah, all the people that did the puppets and obviously the puppet master, Justin, they all did fantastic job. Like that was like one of the best things in that show. Everything was great, but
also
the
I loved that Bree was played, but the puppeteer that was actually not underneath Bree, but also like right alongside Bree's head, that was Mandy's head, was a guy actor, a guy puppeteer. And then the girl horse, I forgot her name. Is it Gwen, I think, or Gwen? She it was actually had a girl. Yeah, that was doing her. So I thought that was kind of a cool way to just be like, you know, help the Jenners,
connect the characters more. And also they talked about how they made sure that Bree was a male horse.
Yes.
And that Gwen was a female horse. Even they did the tiniest details on their face and their neck to present more feminine or masculine traits. They did it in they painted that. They molded that. They created that to get to again, details. Yes. Details. So yeah, and they also talked about how the ones that controlled the heads, they made sure that they didn't show too much emotion. They wanted the attention to always be focused on the puppets, not on them. They always wanted to focus on, this is the character, this horse is Bree. Don't look at me, look at... So they always made sure just to look at the horse and not show too much emotion. They would still like feel the moment and be in the moment, but they always made sure that if the audience looked at them, they looked right back at the puppet.
Right, I never, it got to the point where I was actually looking at the horses themselves. I never even looked at the people doing it. It got to the point where just, you didn't
even notice them.
It's almost like, this is an analogy of like, I thought of it as, it's like playing with Barbies when you're a little girl, and you're imagining your Barbie walking around, but you don't, even though your hand is holding it, you're just not, also, you just don't imagine that anymore. That's what I felt like with these horses. Yeah. I felt like it was my childhood imagination. It's like coming to life.
It's all about imagination at the end of the day.
It was so good.
It felt like a children's fairy tale book, and you just had to use your imagination to create these things to life on stage. It was all in your mind.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, they have an incredible production, an incredible theater, and an incredible academy. Honestly, for me personally, I wish that I had that as a kid. I wish that I was a part of something like this. I wish that I was pushed like these kids are being pushed, because this was something unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Yeah. She's tired.
I keep yawning.
Both tired.
I've been holding
my
Okay, good.
It's
so I'm
fine.
not the only one.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, just the play was incredible. We were both so inspired.